Adam Wilbourn from WhatCulture, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick from WhatCulture to give you our immediate reaction to Raw's debut on Netflix, and more specifically, The Rock and all the things he had to say, or I suppose not reference, to kick off Netflix Raw.
It's January. We got a surprise appearance from The Rock, and he's blown up a massive money Cody Rhodes story. Is this just every year now? Like, what's 2026 is going to look like? Yeah, we're going to do the full Raw review as normal later on, but I think it's worth referencing that this had such a knock-on effect watching live, and obviously I'm talking about the second screen experience with a lot of other hardcore wrestling fans, which we know this Raw wasn't necessarily all for. This was a real vibe killer at the worst time, basically. Like pretty much the first segment after like the game Triple H has had his big moment. Hilarious, Jesus Christ. Like The Rock like says, well, I'm having a big moment too. Second big moment.
Bigger moment, if anything.
And then he takes the biggest money.
Biggest dick.
The biggest money story that he set up because he fancied it, and then just set it all on fire. Like CM Punk once said in a scrum that Hangman Page threatened $1 million gate with a simple line that wasn't agreed beforehand, right? A bit of an overreaction from the punker, but the principle of what he was saying, if it had been a different time, would have been right. Rock didn't threaten one, and it wasn't just $1 million. He killed one, and it was $1 billion. And I know that's not how wrestling makes its money anymore. You know, it's not done on tickets and whatever. However, this match that could have been for this WrestleMania, it could have been for the next one, it could have been for a WrestleMania in 5 years' time. It might still be because The Rock might have just forgotten that he's done this, right? But just to watch it die, to watch Cody Rhodes, who, to be absolutely fair to him, yes, was being like little brothered by getting his hair ruffled in the crowd and then a drink and a cuddle backstage when he said, don't break my heart this time last year, and we all and you and everybody spent a year fantasy booking what this might be, because in Triple H's WWE, your investment generally is rewarded, so you get to get excited. For them to just, for The Rock, I'm saying them, for The Rock to just think, nah, I can't be arsed with that anymore. It wasn't Cody's hill to die on this year, was it? Like, to be absolutely fair to Cody, I've got to say, if he's, oh, what am I doing tonight then? Well, The Rock said he wants to do this. Well, I've got this cool program with Kevin Owens and I've got a match with John Cena. This is not my year to really worry about that. Like, I don't blame Cody for just not fighting this battle, because last year he did. He fought it with his face and he won. And he fought it by pointing at Roman Reigns in spite of factors, and he won. This wasn't the year for him to fight that battle. And Triple H probably thought, just get through. Oh well, there goes that, I suppose. Good job, I've got a bunch of other money stories. But yeah, of all the nights, it was the first time in a long time that it felt like watching like a Vince McMahon helmed nostalgia show, because how many times would you watch those and go, oh, just forget about that then. That was fun for a bit. That was fun for what, 10 months? Hands him something, don't break my heart again. Look at you now, boy. Like, it's over a year, but especially after the night, you know, it's gone. Thanks to
See you later, guys.
That is absolutely gonzo. Gonzo, bonzo, and might never come back. So, and I just, for the way in which the rest of the show played out, I think it took a long time for large segments of the audience who are invested in this show, and that's what's important, to recover from that. And then icing on the cake, when nothing, a big fat load of nothing happens related to the bloodline, The Rock stands there, holds the ropes open for Roman, hugs him, puts the on. Still won't throw the one up. Still got to be the great one. Still got to be The Rock. And I'll probably go to NXT tomorrow. See you later, guys. Like, New Year's Evil's got 5 matches in a 2-hour TV window of commercials. And Rock's like, does it, Sean? Well, it's funny because where's my 40 minutes going to fit in? like, I know insanity and chaos was expected when The Rock came back. And Triple H will probably feel like he's gotten away with one, realistically.
Well, he's got if in your mind, he's got his WrestleMania card.
Probably now, yeah. And he had enough, and this is the reality of setting 3 or 4 cards up, but just another all-timer, just wreck everything and leave from this era of The Rock. I enjoyed the final boss because he's never coming back, apparently, either. So weird, and kind of the worst time and the worst night to do it for me as well. As a fan and as an invested fan, kind of a nightmare.
Disagree, but let's get your thoughts on it, Michael Sidgwick.
Okay, right. Just to reiterate, we are going to do a full Raw review. Subscribe to the WhatCulture Wrestling podcast channel on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts from for more in-depth thoughts. I sometimes switch my vowels, mate.
Yeah.
Is that a laughing matter? Is this funny?
Is this cool? Is this cool?
It's just sometimes something I do, man.
Really got me.
So my extended thoughts will be got a bit of Luther Reigns there. Yeah, I've had thoughts before. I've had thoughts before, and I'll have them again on the What Culture Wrestling podcast channel, to which you must subscribe.
Oh, good.
See, he had more fun here than he did on Netflix last night, didn't you,
I
pal?
didn't know, man. Oh, this is good. This is what the business is all about. I've been up 8 hours.
Anyway, so that's coming.
Whoa.
Let's specifically talk about The Rock. My ultimate, basically the crap, the old mattress, WWE, the TLDR version of that podcast, but I'm really looking forward to it. And I think genuinely I've got a really good take. Might be a bit tribalist for you, but we'll see about this. My ultimate, the thing that ran through my mind the most watching The Rock do this was, why? It's like, I understand, right, this Moana reshoots, or he's too busy, or he doesn't fancy it, or whatever. I don't want to be in that man's psyche. I just don't. I watch him talk. I don't want to see the thought process. I kind of do. Why was he there? I don't know why he had to just light the match and just throw it and burn it all. Maybe he needed to, in his own head, basically let you know, not happening this year, guys. I'm sorry. Rip the bandage off.
Yeah.
We're not doing this.
Smart promotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not doing it. We're drawing the line here. Don't expect it. It's that old wrestling promoter thing of, I mean, well, it is, of if you're going to make the match, like, make the match. Don't let people think that the match is going to happen. Like, even the worst carnies, and I'm talking obviously about Vince McMahon, had that philosophy and mostly stuck to it. Mostly, there's obviously egregious examples. But why did he have to do it in that way? He could have done it in a million different ways. He did say, in his defense, not that this matters, not that it wasn't brutally undermined within minutes afterwards. He did say, you spilled each other's blood, and I'm sure we'll do it again. He did say that. He did leave it open, but he took the sting and the heat and the juice and any interest out of it whatsoever, any sense of believability out of the idea that he really hates him. He's gotten to by the idea that somebody else has made this cool. Like Cody Rhodes has been the face of this resurgence, this renaissance, this Netflix era. Levesque's like, oh, trying to make this Levesque era thing happen last year, but I'll have to say Netflix because we're getting all the money and all the rest of it. So I was amused by that. I was amused by a lot of it, quite frankly. But why did he then have to do? Come here, come here.
Mama Rhodes.
Mama Rhodes,
Scream in the face with your blood in my hands.
Remember that?
Now we're friends.
Now we're pals?
Me and Mama Rhodes.
Why did he have to do it in such a way? He could have said a million different things. It's wrestling. It's a work. Could have said something. Not this year, Cody. The Rock's busy. The Rock's a millionaire. The Rock's a WWE, the People's Champion, or whatever this stupid belt is. Do you think he's just gone off it? He's got his little belt and all that. It was nice, but I'm bored of that now.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like, what's wrong with next year, Dwayne, or the year after the year after? Like, the idea is like the great before Hogan ran a truck into the Rock's ambulance. The great line was like he could call the Rock the flavor of the week because he was Hulk Hogan. The Rock could do that to Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well done. I'm the Rock, mate. Yeah. Like, try 20 years, whatever. Like, I'll see you down the road at flavor of the week or whatever.
All you had to say was
loads of ways to do it.
Loads of ways to do it. One of it, off the top of my dick, could have just said, not this year, Cody. The Rock's a very, very busy man. The Rock's a very, very busy man. I'm out making movies. Where are your movies? Are you still in this little phase of your little career? Or anything other than we're pals now?
And like backstage as well.
Yeah.
So you've done it on camera and it's like, well, that's a really odd visual I don't want to think of when this time last year you're handing in the mystery item. And then Rock's like, no, there's more. Like, we're drinking outside my bus. Come on, get that. Like,
it was just so peculiar. So peculiar. I don't understand what he was thinking. It's completely nuked any interest. I mean, it's The Rock. If anyone can talk you back into thinking this match is huge or it's compelling or it's going to be entertaining, it's Dwayne The Rock Johnson, quite possibly, or very much arguably, the very best promo man of all time. You know?
Yeah.
So we're not doing this doomsday stuff, and there's no such thing as that kind of content anymore, given how much money they are going to make, like, regardless of anything. But it was just a total mood killer. I will say that The Rock doing that, instantly this road to WrestleMania feels that bit more clearer, that bit more formulaic, that bit more boring. Last year's spark of, it wasn't ideal, but it was also ideal at the same time, if that makes any sense
Chaos,
at all. It was
wasn't it?
chaotic, it was compelling, it made people like tense, it drew people in. This year, but it's going to get none of that intrigue. And look, the good news is that Paul Levesque, whether I like him or not, has over the past 2 years proven himself capable of telling stories without the need for this sort of corny manipulation, these political games and all the rest of it. He can tell good fiction, which is the good news if you're, like Hamflett, heavily invested and a little bit shaken up by how rubbish all that was last night. But it was just so odd, the way he went around it. You are an unapologetic Rock Mark.
Yeah.
I'm an unapologetic Kenny Omega Mark. Michael Hamflett is an unapologetic CM Punk Mark, right? I can't criticize Kenny Omega this week because he's had a rebirth as a pro wrestling god. But he's done stuff in the past where I'm like, that wasn't good enough for you, or you shouldn't be slumming it in this mid card, or you shouldn't be so self-indulgent with Kota Ibushi, and you should be like really prioritizing your ace role in AEW. I've criticized him. Michael Hamflett, again, he's going to give you his thoughts on CM Punk not being all that great last night. Yeah. It's your turn.
Yeah, it was, don't get me wrong, a surreal experience watching that last night, but I am more positive than quite a lot of people I've seen online regarding this. And maybe it's, again, more hope than expectation. I think Triple H and WWE have earned that, like, well, let's not just judge it on this one thing.
Say the line, Wilbourn.
Let it play out, as we so often say.
Ironically, mate.
Because it was like a double whammy, wasn't it? Because it was that with Cody at the beginning, and then, I'll be watching Tribal Combat, which we immediately get to. And then, he's coming out. What's going to happen with you? Oh, he's just put it around his neck and hugged him.
Yeah, he killed that too.
But
remember Bad Blood when he was like, gun knife to the throat and then counted to 3? What was any of that?
Gun knife.
Just stood with his hands neatly behind his back and held the ropes over. At least acknowledge him, Dwayne. Like, there was nothing. He said nothing.
But I
just didn't fancy it. Couldn't be asked.
I don't think they're both completely dead, but I can understand where people are coming from. Obviously, I think the Cody one's a bit more egregious than the Roman one, because I think
you lost interest in him last year.
I'll get to Roman in a second, but the Cody one, hugging him and the sharing the drink with him and stuff like that was so strange. Tempered by the fact that, yes, it wasn't like people were saying, the last time we saw him, he's spilling his blood everywhere. Well, technically, no. The last time we saw him, he was acknowledging him winning the title and saying, basically, I'm coming back for you. And arguably, you could say, all right, well, this was more sort of corporate Rock, and he's there and he's being he's part of the reason why they've got this Netflix deal, arguably. Yeah. He is
Board Rock, which is quite ironic.
He is playing this role now, and he's going to decide. We've got 4 months. We've got 4 months till WrestleMania. He could, like we said in the office, he could just decide, or the plan may be, yeah, that was all nice, and you had your big Netflix debut night, but no, now I'm coming in the Rumble or whatever
the Rock's
it may
thinking
be.
Triple threat.
Or whatever it may be, he could come in and decide that he wants to go after Cody or whatever it may be. But it was strange to see them being so pally-pally, and I felt awkward for Cody just being like, you from the crowd.
What was he doing in the crowd?
The reveal of him in the audience. Again, all of this feels framed around The Rock says, I'm doing this thing, and that's what has to happen. Which, again, is where I think I would push back a little bit on your letting it play out thing. Because I agree. I agree with this WWE. The Rock is outside of that. Completely. And he proves it over and over again that he is outside of that. The WrestleMania documentary exists in its ridiculous mutated form because The Rock is outside of that, pretending that he's inside of it.
Yes.
We realized as a company we had to pivot. It was like, you effed it up, mate. So they had to un-F it up, and then you had to kind of help. He doesn't count when we're talking about, I can say, let it play out with most things in WWE.
Yeah.
No, you can't, mate. That's what you're saying.
I can't say it with The Rock, because The Rock will decide on any given appearance what he's going to do. And I say all that to say, because something else that happened on Raw last night, and I think this is where you will be tested potentially. What if he, so last night, let's be real about this, right? Sidgwick's a dynamite guy. Ish. Rock sort of broke something on my show last night, Raw. He could break something on yours tonight. What then will your stance change?
Oh, if he destroys NXT, I'm turning heel on him.
Like, Wilbourn gets people's elbow or something because The Rock's like, oh, he's big, fancy taking him down.
Could happen. I'll be honest, it could happen, yes. But to get back to the Roman thing as well, the bit that I think people thought, okay, well, the Cody thing's been put way on the back burner, seemingly. And then you're like, but he's talking about
a back burner.
He's talking about tribal combat, and he comes out and you think, okay, Ulafala, he's doing a lot more more Samoan heritage stuff that he's done on his social media. He talked about it in his promo as well.
Yeah.
How's that going to work? And then he just put the Ulafala on him and give him his moment, hug him, give him his moment, basically. My hope for all this is if they are going to do something, one would assume it's going to be Roman rather than Cody right now because, like you say, of how far they knocked that into the long grass. And whether or not he says, you lost the title, you lost the sort of Ulafala, and then you won it back, and then what did you do? You didn't go after Cody, or if he doesn't, because they're not going to do that because Roman's a babyface now. If they don't go down that road, Rock has justification to be like, you're clearly not the tribal chief anymore. You've gone soft or whatever it may be. I'm going to have to take that from you. So whether or not they just thought, there's a lot of time to let this story develop.
You mean for like this year's WrestleMania?
Whether it's this year's WrestleMania or what going forward.
I would just say that would speak more to Sidge's point about that being just a passionless build compared to where we were at. The Rock, the final boss, the guy that beats Cody all around a car park and spills his blood.
Got his pin.
Yeah.
And get the hell out of there. Bend him.
That Rock being angry with Roman Reigns and letting that anger simmer for a full year and being the guy responsible for Solo Sikoa opening the door to the Tongans and making all of these. You could believe that. All those rash choices being made to sort of test Roman from a distance and wait for his right moment and now Roman's a babyface. The Rock, an amazing heel and a great in-ring heel as well. A kind of a selfless wrestler at his peak as both a heel and a babyface would do so much for this babyface Roman. I would argue they've torched that as well, and it would be more of everything you've just said, but with loads less heat than what it had 24 hours ago, because The Rock has it would come from a place of Rock being his elder again and being like all our older family members have passed and I am now in that role and you've kind of let me down, rather than I want to kill you for losing the belt. That was a disgrace what happened at WrestleMania. That was where we were at as recent as sort of Bad Blood. Or you could infer that. That feels like that's gone.
I'm going to say something that might shock you, both of you. It's The Rock. I'm kind of with Wilbourn to an extent, right? Even though I think he's completely deluded and huffing the copium and phenomenally naive. I will say, and it's
was like the working nickname for AJ Styles, phenomenally naive.
Well, he is about
your feet are flat.
He is about the sphere that is the earth. So that works. It's all good stuff.
It's all good stuff.
I will say that rewind back to pretty much this time last year. Does Rock fancies a drink of tequila? Do I sit, at the bar, or do I sit at the head of the table? And then it's and then he has that absolutely awful verbal spar with Jinder Mahal.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, oh God, he's just, please go away. You are going to ruin everything. And then in The Rock's own words, he said, what if I become the best bad guy of all time? And at the time, I mean, hell, Final Boss Rock, I absolutely loved him so much, man.
Yeah.
I thought he was great. This is a guy who, at his very best, and you could argue that he was last year. Okay, I'll just be the best.
Yeah.
He could just do it again. He could just do it again. I will say that the timing was the worst part of this. If it was just on USA Network and this happened, whatever, you've just instantly taken this idea that we're just getting started, and this resurgence is going to new heights on Netflix. It's is it, or does next week's card just look like Raw streamed as opposed to on cable? It was just a terrible vibe and tone setter.
Yeah,
a terrible vibe ruiner.
I'm not sure how much I buy into this part, but I did see people arguing, and I want to know your thoughts on this, of it being because the whole show felt like, right, we're not going to go too hardcore for
They were bouncing on it and it being their own dick. Doing tricks on it. It was just a totally rib removal suck job.
They're presenting this for all the new people who are just, I used to watch WWE, I'll tune in now.
Yeah.
What do you make of the argument of, right, well, we've got to reestablish everyone and everything, hence why they did the show that they did last night, which, like you say, we'll get into later on today on the podcast. And therefore, people were saying you can't have him come out and be the final boss because people are like, what? That's The Rock. That's the Hollywood guy. Why is he being all horrible? Or I don't know how much I subscribe to that because I think he's so good. You just go, okay, he's a bad guy.
He's the best.
I have two schools of thought on that. One is that, and this is historically the case, wrestling fans are never as stupid as advertisers and promoters think they are.
Yes.
So to your point about The Rock, but you really can apply this to a lot of wrestlers. Like, it never ends. People always tune back in, and the wrestler they once saw might be different. That has always been the case, right?
And it's going to be a hard, if let's say it's not going to happen, but if say next week, Roman's there being like, it's great being the tribal chief again, and Rock comes in, bloodies him up, right? And just people are still going to be like, that's a bit of a hard turn.
Here's an example, right? And this performer is not on the level of The Rock. You tune back in 2000, having maybe watched a tiny bit of it when you were a little bit younger, and then it's on Channel 4, and The Undertaker's on a bike instead of a magic space zombie, and you go, all right, he's on a bike. That's how long it takes to just be like, The Undertaker's on a bike now. I didn't expect that, but I guess that's The Undertaker. That's how long it takes. And yet, it seems as if there has to this mental assault course to be able to figure out, but that's not The Undertaker I remember from the last time I watched. Like, it's as if it's this great, sort of, how am I going to get through this? You just do. So, but I do get it, maybe more with this move to Netflix than ever, in the sense that you could absolutely extrapolate that across the entire 3 hours. Like, if you want to use that line of thinking with The Rock, you can absolutely apply it to the rest of what I thought was quite a bad show, but what was also not a very current WWE show. A lot felt like an old Night of the Legends tribute show that we were kind of all sick of. That wasn't a night that wasn't necessarily for me as a fan. I felt like I was watching something for other people. There were echoes in that respect of the things I didn't like about Saturday night's main event. Now, does this mean that WWE is going off the boil? Have I been completely hypnotized by how good Kenny Omega was to think that there's the pendulum swinging? But that's the second big show in a row where I was like, this is not for me, this one tonight. It's for a lot of potential other people that they might be flirting with. And if you're ever going to do that, I actually think you can justify the Netflix launch show, genuinely. The Rock is the one wrestler who could have taken any version of himself and immediately had returning fans, lapsed fans, casual fans, complete newbies, and had them figure out exactly what we're watching within seconds. So I get the argument. I don't think it stands up, really.
Well, do you think that there's anything to that of just you have to present The Rock as Hollywood, good guy, corporate Rock almost?
He might think that a bit. He's obsessed with his whatever he thinks his public relations in any given day.
Nonsense Corp.
Yeah.
So when do you think we will next see The Rock on WWE
Tonight?
TV again? Well, apart from NXT, yes.
On the CW. I don't care, and that's another problem. There was massive stories that were good to go that involved The Rock, and now if he turns up, I'm waiting for a Jinder Mahal or an Austin Theory, yuck segment to reveal something bigger. We had the big stuff.
Play a game though. What rubbish insult is he going to hurl at which wrestler?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if
I like games.
Picking a show, it's throw a dart at the board or look at when they're near where he's filming. He showed up at Bad Blood because he was doing a charity thing an hour away. That's he did this massive this is probably a massive story thing. It turned out what he was doing was foreshadowing what he was going to do to massive money programs. Two of them. Wait a minute, there was 3 on the finger. He's still got one more story to kill. NXT, baby. That's there we go.
Don't.
Obafemi's title reign. Whenever he wants. And that's it. And that's how we used to think about the Legends Raws, about they need to pop a number this week. So Steve Austin's here or whatever. There's no passion to it. There's no genuine intrigue. It's just The Rock's here. You said it, WrestleMania. He might turn up backstage at WrestleMania and be like, hi, I'm here. Oh, I have to put you on what I'm thinking, guys. What about this? We get my name. And then I set that on fire with a blowtorch. Rocky did that. Huh? Get him his name in the blowtorch, I guess. Like that's when The Rock could shut up.
Because it is partially influenced by I saw Sean Ross Sapp confirming, I think after the show last night, the Moana live action reshoots or whatever it is.
Him doing the Moana noise was cringe as out, by the way. I don't know if you thought that, but like and then getting the fans to shriek it as well. I like it in the film. I don't like it in my world. That's why I keep it on Disney Plus, please. Enjoy that with my children, having a nice family film evening. I don't want it on my version of cinema on a Monday night.
Yeah, I've got no thoughts on that.
Yeah, so what are the odds of him being in the Rumble?
Do you think he's going to get called up to the main roster, Sidge?
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing here?
I just thought I'd end with a note of hope, potentially.
No.
Okay.
A note of hope.
Worth a try anyway. But do let us know your thoughts.
Got away from an NXT, legit.
Oh, I cannot wait for tonight. We'll be talking more about what happened on this Raw, though, as we mentioned on the What Culture Wrestling podcast. Do join us for that one and let us know your thoughts on everything that happened on last night's Raw in the comments or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch, they can follow all four of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
Follow Michael Sidgwick at
Emma Sidgwick.
Follow our brilliant producer Adam Nicholas at.
Is this on? Oh, it is on. I didn't think it was on.
How's this one?
It's Adam. One, two. It's Adam Nicholas.
And you can follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at What Culture WWE and make sure you subscribe, as I said. But for now, my thanks to Michael Hamflett, to Michael Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.